Hi, I'm Jim Jeffers. I'm Intel's lead for advanced rendering and visualization, and also lead the Intel oneAPI rendering toolkit set of libraries. I'm here with Dr. James Fergusson from the Stephen Hawking Center for Theoretical Cosmology. That's a mouthful, huh? We're going to talk a little bit about their work and our joint work together with both computation and visualization. So, James, welcome. Thank you for stopping by.
Thanks for having me here.
Yeah. I think one of the things that in our work together over the years is that, the top three things that are important for at least cosmology study is memory, memory, memory.
That's a real thing, that we have this exponential growth in data sets. So our data sets now are tens of terabytes, hundreds of terabytes. And we want to do, the function we want to do, look at all the data at the time. We're doing correlation function, things like that. And so we really can't break it up and distribute it like people can on clusters and that without really seriously affecting the performance. And so memory is really, really key for a lot of the operations we want to do.
Right, so most of the systems you have are the HPE Hyperdome Flex shared memory system, so you get access to all that memory at one time, right?
Yeah, we find that system is definitely the best one that we can find for what we want to do. And there are a few reasons. Well, one, it allows us to do these very large data sets. But even when we're not doing that data sets, it allows our cosmologists to write code and run code very quickly. There's very low barrier to entry on a shared memory machine.
Okay, great. Another thing that we've been working on and that I've been talking a lot and been spearheading with you is, and I think you brought it up, the notion of in situ analysis or computation and visualization or other data analysis while everything's running, partly because of that memory. How, what's your view of that, the impact that that's had over the last few years?
Well, yeah, so I think visualization is really, really key. I mean, for all the complicated systems we design, there's really nothing that can compete with, the human visual system. It's incredibly advanced. You can see things straight away that takes a very, very long time to see with data analysis or looking at the numbers themselves. And to be able to pull up the data and actually see what's going on allows you to pick up bugs and also to make insights much, much quicker than you can if you're just doing conventional analysis. And to be able to do it in situ saves a huge amount of time in trying to save the data and load it up again, but also allows you to look at things as they run. And so you can see if you've made a mistake early on or if something's going wrong early in the simulation, which you might not see later on at the end if you're just looking at the end product.
Great. So specifically, we've been working together also with Kitware, with PowerView, Catalyst, which is their in situ connector, and a number of codes over the years that we've worked together. Can you mention just a few of the insights you've gotten from this in situ and visualization capabilities?
Yeah, so one of the very first ones, remember, we did was my bispectrum analysis, this 3-point correlation function, and we're doing it on the KNLs. And the thing what we were doing before we could really see it is what we were doing is we were just taking a model, does it match? Next model, does it match? Next model, does it match? And we went through 30,000 models, just churning them all through to try and find the best. But when you can actually bring it up, you can suddenly say, obviously, this is the type of thing we should be doing. You can see the patterns in the data and say, right, obviously this must be what's happening. And we can really refine that down and pick out the best types of models that are going to work with that data, saving us a lot of time in this sort of searching.
And a lot more work recently, so that was the cosmic microwave background, which really is kind of the first hint of the Big Bang, I guess, the first visible snapshot of the universe as it was
like a baby picture of the universe.
A baby picture of the universe, that's great. More recently, we've been working together on a variety of Einstein's gravitational theories, gravitational waves related to the LIGO experiment. Really in Dr. Hawking's legacy of black holes and that. Why don't you explain a little bit about what's a gravitational wave and why is it important, and then again how we're working together to visualize this.
Yeah. So this is the big revolution that's happened in the last, say, 5 years, is the detection of gravitational waves. So before that, essentially all cosmological data was images. It's just photographs. We take them in different frequencies and that, but they're just really pictures. All we have is pictures. Whereas with the gravitational wave, this is like a sound wave going through the fabric of space-time. So the first time we can actually hear the universe, we have sort of a whole new way of looking at the universe and a whole new type of things that we can see. Previously, things like black holes and any other small compact body that doesn't emit very light, neutron stars only do a little bit, boson stars, all these very complicated phenomena, are very, very hard to see. There don't emit any light, so we can't see them in pictures, but we can hear them. We can hear them when they crash into each other, we can hear them when they disrupt systems, hear them when they're disrupted by other dense objects like that. And so it's a whole new frontier, and it's a really exciting sort of discovery potential in this area, because it's very free at the moment. It's only been around for a few years. And so a huge amount of work has to go into simulating what these signals could look like, because if you have two black holes, they can spin the same way, they can spin opposite ways, they can both come in really reasonably direct, they can spiral around each other for a very long time. And we have to simulate all these possible scenarios to work out what the signals are, so that when we do this measurement with LIGO, we can then try and match all these hundreds of templates against that signal and see what's really out there.
The LIGO experiment is the measuring stick for gravitational waves, and we did some work with the colliding black holes, kind of after the fact, being from the Viz aspect. James is teaching me cosmology here. These boson stars collide. And I remember Paul Szilard, Dr. Szilard, who's the director, sent an email and said, "Oh, I didn't expect to see this initial weak gravitational wave followed by the collision." And that just blew me away, because the visualization was the key to making it happen.
Yeah, so that's the really exciting thing. It's such an open field, and we don't know a lot. And then doing these simulations, we have to see what happens. You can see lots of effects that you didn't necessarily think were there. When you calculate things, you generally calculate things you want to see. Say, this is what I expect to see, so you calculate that particular thing. But you don't necessarily see these other smaller effects that are also very interesting and give you insight as to what's going on in the system. And that's where visualization is really, really great. It really just gives you that window to sort of, it's almost like you're watching it in real time.
Yeah.
And you can see what's happening. It's like you've got a proper window into what's happening in the universe.
Yeah, that's awesome. We were talking about the Discovery Group series in the legacy of Dr. Hawking. Can you mention something about that? What's happening with that?
Yeah, so it's quite an exciting thing where we've had the Discovery team with Intel have come in and they're making a whole bunch of short programs on reasonably advanced topics, so really at the cutting edge. So unlike a normal science documentary where they tend to sort of talk quite hand-wavy, this is really trying to tell you what's actually happening at the cutting edge, the real research type questions that we're looking at, and trying to explain these quite complicated ideas in simple ways with simple visualizations that people can understand. I think it looks really good.
Yeah, I think it's in the vein of some of the television series when Dr. Hawking was alive and trying to bring it, the knowledge to the masses.
But he was such a brilliant communicator, wasn't he? Such a brilliant communicator.
He really was. Many of the visualizations you're going to see on that show are coming as part of the oneAPI rendering toolkit, so we're really looking forward to that. We were talking about memory. I think you know about Optane memory from Intel. How do you see that playing a role?
I'm super excited about Optane, as you know. It's going to be a really big game changer for us, especially my research, which is heavily memory bound. I do a 3-point correlation function, so I take every data point to every data point to every data point. And so the quickest way it ends up doing it is having sort of the data squared and I put 1 against it, which means if I have 50 million points, I have to have 50 million squared stored in memory. And essentially, the real limit to what I can do is just how much I can fit. As soon as I go out of the shared memory block, the whole thing stops. And so Optane's going to really, really sort of shift the boundary by order of magnitude as to what I can actually do and how many models I can cover and how fast the thing's going to run. So I'm super excited to get a hold of that.
That's great. Well, thank you for being here, and we really appreciate the time you spent, and thanks so much for talking with us.
Oh, thanks for having me.